Florida State versus Miami, it never goes out of style, even when it's a transfer portal battle. That's something we're going to talk about today on Locked On Seminoles. And we have a little controversy from yesterday's show that I want to discuss later on in the show. That is next here on Locked On Seminoles.
You are Locked On Seminoles, your daily podcast on the Florida State Seminoles. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back into Locked On Seminoles. I am your host, Brian Smith, longtime college football writer and recruiting analyst. Thank you for making Locked On Seminoles your first listen each and every day. Truly appreciate you stopping in to talk some Noles with me. Today's show is brought to you by our friends over at Amazon Fire TV Stick 4K. Turn any TV into your Xbox. No console required. Head over to Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to learn more. Florida State versus Miami in the transfer portal. Plenty more portal news to discuss, good and bad. That's a little bit of a mix, no doubt about that. And Florida State has some controversy about how they've handled the portal, how they've handled the roster. I'm going to ask some questions. I'm going to make some answers of my own. What I think, I want you to comment on the YouTube page, Locked On Seminoles. And to that point, to follow up at the beginning of or at the end of the show, yesterday I talked about Cameron Brooks picking Cal. Had a whole bunch of comments about that. What they should do with Mike Norvell. What should Florida State do with recruiting? We're going to read off some of those and get your comments on that for those you didn't hear it. That is next at the end of the show. So let's start off with the beginning. And we've got a little portal news. It just keeps going. Like, by the way, the portal has concluded in terms of getting your name in, but there is no signing day. As I say, pretty much every day, there's no signing day. So any day of the week, Florida State could get a commitment. You just got to wait and see who it's going to be each and every day. First off, this is a rather interesting circumstance because Florida State had multiple guys hurt at safety. You don't know who's going to get in the portal, but Florida State has a connection with Jacoby Thomas. 200-pound safety, played at the University of Tennessee for the Vols last year, 263 snaps, didn't start any games, but played in 13. Run defense, 73.6. Overall, 68.5. Tackling, 54. Coverage, 64.9. Brings good size, 6'2", 200, and he'll be a fifth-year senior. Experienced players are going to pick up a defense quicker, and Florida State just implemented a new scheme. I like that. What I don't like is that Miami is going to get a visit allegedly from him. The other part here, though, is Miami is also, I think it's even today, A.J. Halsey, the elite safety from Houston, is visiting the U. He's an NFL player. If they get him, would they still bring in Jacoby Thomas? I don't know, because he might go to Florida State. If they don't, I have a feeling they would. We'll see. But if they get A.J. Halsey, it still would help Florida State's chances, because there's less playing time available at the U. Miami versus Florida State, though, even in recruiting, even in the portal, it's just fun. I'm curious to see how this one plays out because, again, those two schools do not like each other at all. The rivalry goes back to when I was a little kid, and I think this is going to be rather interesting. Florida State needs another safety. They need another safety after all the injuries in spring, just to be safe. And he might play major minutes. Again, 263 snaps this past year. So we'll see if he makes it to Tallahassee for a visit. Some other news, Hakeem Williams is going to Colorado to play for Deion Sanders. Wide receiver Tony Johnson, speaking of Miami, the Cincinnati wide receiver that Florida State was after has committed to the University of Miami. Pretty good player. Had over 40 catches last year and 6 touchdowns. Nice slot receiver for the Hurricanes. As I mentioned, A.J. Halsey, one of the top safeties and overall players, is visiting Miami. I don't know if Florida State tried to get involved there, but I would have. That would be a very high price tag, and that's something we're going to talk about in the second segment. Is Florida State spending enough NIL? That's an interesting conversation piece. Gavin Blackwell, per Noles 24/7, is going to be visiting Florida State, but he only had 4 receptions and 88 yards last year. He's a veteran at North Carolina. Is that where Florida State is at? Is it that much down the board? That leaves me with a lot of pause. I want to come back to that as we get into some of the questions in the second part of the segment. But the good news, and I don't know how random this stuff can be, but when you have a player that's been injured multiple times, like missed significant, it usually gives you pause, right? Well, Muhammad, and I'm probably going to mispronounce his last name. It's Toure. Tor, I'm not sure how you pronounce it, a linebacker. He played quite a bit last year, 610 snaps, 610 snaps. He had 80 tackles, had a forced fumble, had 5 sacks, 23 pressures, but he missed last season. This kid's in the portal. Should you go after a guy that was also injured in 22? So 2 out of the last 3 years, significant injury, but he's expected to be back for this fall. How do you grade something like that? This is the part of the portal that even I don't really know how to venture a guess. You got to have a medical opinion. You got to bring him in and let your medical staff take a look, not just an exam of the young man, but speak to him about it. Where's his mental state? See what his doctor records are if they're released. I don't even know how that works. But if Florida State were to get him, you talk about a guy who played at Rutgers. I mean, they're not great. So he got centralized by a lot of other teams. Like they probably pointed him out. And again, he still had 80 tackles and 5 sacks in 2023. That's pretty good. As far as grades go, just put it in perspective. Defensive grades, 76.4, 72.9. Run defense, tackling was 80.9. Okay. Pass rush, 72.9. And then coverage, 73.8. Just a good football player. And the size is there, 6'2", 236. He could probably play in a 2-gap scheme on the inside. Maybe you move him to the outside part of the time. Veterans like this, if they're healthy, can really change your defense because he is a chess piece in multiple circumstances. I'm sure he can play special teams as well. Florida State is involved here amongst several other schools. They don't necessarily need a linebacker, but I'd spoken about that a few times. But if you can get somebody with that much experience, I think you at least got to kick the tires. I don't know how involved Tony White and the rest of the FSU staff is, but I like the fact that they're getting involved, at least do the background and research. Maybe it's a medical thing that holds him off. Maybe he doesn't really want to go to FSU after he talks to them. No idea. I do know that if you do your due diligence, good things happen in most ways around your life. So football and the transfer portal is just a part of it. Got to do your due diligence because those stats are real, man. 80 tackles and 5 sacks. Again, at Rutgers, when everybody knows who you are, they're going to go away from you. And he still put up those numbers. What would he have put up at a real big-time program where they can't key on it? Like if he'd have played at Georgia or Florida State in 2023, what would his numbers have been there? I mean, Florida State's defense, I mean, they were pretty nasty. Was he maybe goes down just a little bit, but plays 100 less snaps because he doesn't have to play as much? That would be my guess. And he would have been a big-time player. So Florida State involved there. That's a really good player. Also involved, I've mentioned him before, but I want to bring this up again. Highly recruited kid. I don't know what happened. Jalen Matthews out of the state of New Jersey. Massive. 6'6", 340. He is a pure tackle. But he could move inside if you just wanted him to because he's got so much girth. He's 340. He's leaving Rutgers. Don't know why, but he's leaving Rutgers. Florida State needs linemen. And he's essentially going to be a true freshman this fall. So they can get him. As long as there's no skeletons here, you got to make a concerted effort to get a young tackle. They're not in a good spot beyond this year at offensive tackle. Again, they've got to get some young, high upside offensive tackles. It has to happen. Also, Gavin Sawchuk, kid that was a national recruit coming out of the state of Colorado, signed with Oklahoma. He played against Florida State a few years ago, had a really good game. 2023, he had over 700 yards and 9 scores. He's a burner. He can go. I don't know if that means that you're going to play Jalen a little bit more in the slot. If you get Sawchuk, how does that all play out? Florida State's running back room's pretty diverse. You got Sam back there who can run. Like, what is it you're looking for? I'm still a little puzzled about the whole running back room. I'm guessing there's something I don't know. Because how many footballs do you have? And on top of that, is this a play to get somebody else into the receiver? Like Jalen just going to play receiver constantly? I don't know. There are a lot of ways to look at this, but it's a really interesting move to me. When we come back, I've got some questions that I'm going to ask of you. I'm going to answer some of them as well, but I want you to comment on them in regards to the Florida State overall program and how they're doing in the transfer portal right now. That is next here on Locked On Seminoles. The NBA playoffs are almost here, and FanDuel is giving new customers an incredible way to get in on the action. Right now, when you join FanDuel and place your first $5 bet, you'll get $250 in bonus bets if your bet wins. FanDuel makes betting so easy, whether it's picking your favorite team or diving into player props. As an example, when I was growing up, I loved to shoot three-pointers, so when I watch basketball, I'm watching the guards. If I'm going to place a bet on one of these, it's going to be in some way, shape, or form related to the three-point line. How many does a player make? Maybe I think they're going to be hot that night and they're going to go over a certain point total. Whatever it is, that's my deal. But you could also go with steals, rebounds. You could go with something like assists. There are a lot of different stats you could go with props. Plus, if you miss tip-off to get your bet in, you can live bet. And yes, player props are available. Don't miss out. Head over to FanDuel.com and claim your $250 in bonus bets today. How do you feel about the Florida State program right now? Good? Bad? Not sure? A little bit of both, depending on the hour of the day. After yesterday, I'm a little down. If you haven't seen it, I had a 9+ minute rant about a recruit. You just got to go watch it. It's too hard to explain in just a few seconds. So yesterday's podcast will explain that. And I'm going to come back to that in the third segment and read some of the comments. We got a variety pack of opinions. It's all over the map. And it's quite honestly one of the more fascinating discussions that we've had. But right now, FanDuel has Florida State's over-under at 7.5. Okay, I'm good with that. If I had to guess, I would go under at 7, but if you went 8, I get it. But then yesterday happened, and then I started looking at all the little paper cuts. Florida State, again, was unlucky with injuries this spring. O-line banged up, wide receiver banged up, 3 transfers at receiver. They didn't do well as it relates to getting lucky in the secondary either. A spot I thought they were pretty good. Didn't hear as much as I thought about Quindarius and some other guys, plus several players were banged up. It's just like there may not be enough continuity because, again, you're bringing in not one but 2 systems, offense and defense. It's a lot. And you're playing Bama game 1. That's rough. If you like where Florida State stands and you want to comment on the YouTube page, why? Take the homer hat off. The homer comments like on YouTube, I don't even really comment on them very often. Objective, down the middle. Here's the factual stuff, not just my emotion because I want it to be. Let's be very clear about that. It's easy to say Florida State's going to go 12-0 or even 9-3. What is your objective reasoning for your decision? If it's above 7 wins. Right now, that's where I'm at. It could trend down depending on how the rest of this portal stuff goes, but there's so many guys still out there taking visits. It's not worth my time to make any kind of a detailed opinion about it. Just leave it at 7. That's where I've had it all spring. When we're middle of June, I'll start talking about that some more. But where do you stand and why? Next, the spring transfer portal losses. Let's talk about that for a second. Jalen Early, one of your better backup offensive linemen, he has transferred. That one hurt to me because you just need depth. You never know when guys are going to get hurt. Denise White didn't kill you, but you don't like losing 300+ pound defensive tackles. Unfortunate, but you lost him. You lost Hakeem Williams, Jalen Brown. Those are 2 guys that were probably going to play a lot. Receiver is a concern right now. And then you lost Biscuit again at tight end. You still brought in some good pieces, and you've got a lot of guys visiting. Like if Salchuk comes, he's a weapon. He averaged 6 yards a carry. He can go. But at the same time, did they get enough so far? Do you feel good about O-line depth? I don't. Do you feel good about defensive end? I think they need another piece. I love Williams they brought in from Nebraska, but he can't play every rep. Amari's going to play some DN, but he hasn't played it at this level. And this should be his true freshman year. Remember, he enrolled a full year early. That's rough. Can he handle the run? I'm not worried about pass, but can he handle a 320-pound offensive tackle on 1st and 10 or goal line or short yardage? They need another defensive lineman on the edge. D-tackle, I think they'll be pretty good, especially with Big Darrell. That's the best news, no doubt. Linebackers improved quite a bit. That's good. Corner, I'm a little nervous about because we just didn't hear enough. There are a lot of questions here. So I think the spring losses hurt, but we can't give it a grade yet because they've just got so many guys that they're in on. We don't know where they're going. They don't know. Like, if they get Jacoby, if they get, I don't know, maybe it's Saquon Patterson, that would help at either spot. I'm not saying that I'm crazy about the idea, but Gavin Blackwell from North Carolina, at least he's an experienced player. You got to get some players. And then, if they get Torrey, the linebacker, that'd be icing on the cake because they don't necessarily need another linebacker, but somebody with that much productivity and that much size you got taken. So I'm a little concerned. But I'm not a very patient guy. I already brought this up, but the third question I wrote down, is there enough O-line depth? I'm just going to answer this. I don't know why I put it on here. The answer is no. If they have any series of injuries, like if they have more than one guy go out, they're probably going to be in trouble. Florida State is just not deep enough on the O-line. If they do not get one, if not two transfer portal guys in addition to what they got, I'm not going to feel very good about it. If you want to comment otherwise, again, back it up. Curious to hear what you have to say. Quarterback depth. I don't feel good about it this year. Starting next year, I'm okay. But Kevin Sperry might be your starting quarterback the next few years. Sounds like he's overachieved. He's from a really good football program just outside of Dallas and Denton Guyer. Athletic, big arm. Sounds like he loves it. He enjoys it at Florida State. But I don't want no freaking true freshman as the backup. That way he's Brock Glenn. I just don't think he's that great. I think he's a 7-5 kind of quarterback based on Florida State's roster, and that's pretty much where you are anyway. He's a different style than what Castellanos is, but Castellanos gives you a chance to win a game just with God-given ability. Like, he is a freak. I don't see that with Brock. With this roster, he may not be a 7-win quarterback. I don't know. A little concerned about quarterback depth. We shall see. Number 5, will Florida State spend enough NIL to land the players that it really needs from this point forward? This somebody mentioned earlier in the show I was going to get to. This is the most important question of the show. They need to find some cash. Miami has done better than them. Those words just can't be constantly brought up. They're recruiting better than in the high school level. They can't win in the portal more than Florida State too. Just can't. They've got to find some money. Come hell, come high water. Period. Number 6, how far behind is Florida State compared to Miami? This one, I don't know how you put a level on it, a numerical value, whatever it is. But subjectively, I think Miami is at least an 8-win team this year. And I don't think Florida State's ceiling is above 9 wins. Like, I think anything above 9 would be shocking. I think 7-5, 8-4 is the likely total. Miami, I think 8-4 to 10-2 range, they're pretty well tied in. They got more depth, definitely have more consistency. Their O-line is on a whole nother level from Florida State's, and they just keep spending gobs of money. Right now, depends on how you want to put it, but Florida State, I don't think they're that close to Miami as a program. There's just too much doubt, and that's coming off 2-10. I tell it like it is, but, sometimes it's not fun. Right now, Miami is a far superior program to Florida State. There's no doubt about it. They won 10 games last year, and they should have won undefeated. Their coaching staff screwed that up royally, but they were way better than Florida State. Which position do you feel best about for Florida State's roster? This one could go a lot of directions, but running back, I like it. Defensive tackle, especially since Darrell's motivated, no doubt about it. Those are some easy ones. Tight end would feel that way if they get one more guy. Even if it's another H-back, they just need some more guys to help Landon Thomas so he doesn't have to get beat up to death because he's got to come off the field too. It's a lot to take on some of those guys on the edge. Then on the next play, you got to go run a route. You need to be able to rotate in there. Linebacker is much better, especially with Stephon in the middle, helping guys out. Those are the ones I feel best about. But what do you think? Is there something I missed and why? Next, Which position do you feel the worst? I think wide receiver is obvious for me, but tight end and D end are the wild cards. They could be really high or really low based on whether or not they get another guy in the portal. Starting talent's good. It's really good. Like Landon Thomas, future NFL guy. But how much depth do you have, and can you rotate enough to keep your starters fresh, not just in a game, but for the back half of a season? If you're not ready to rotate constantly from game 7 through 12, the beginning of the back half, you're going to get your butt kicked and maybe even lose to a team that has far less talent because you've got a position that's down. Guy gets hurt. Guys just wore out, can't do much in the fourth quarter. That's how you lose a game when you're a little bit off that day. They've got to find a way at tight end and D end to add one more player at minimum at each spot. When we come back, it is comment time. Oh boy, do we have the comments for you. Yesterday, I talked about Cam Brooks picking Cal, which is still utterly ridiculous. And I didn't know what kind of comments the show would get. And I got a lot of them. That is next here on Locked On Seminoles. There's nothing like the atmosphere of an NBA playoff game. Every bucket, every defensive stop, every moment feels huge. It's electric in the arena, and with Gametime, you can be a part of it without the stress of last-minute ticket hunting. Gametime makes it fast and easy to get playoff tickets, even when demand is sky high. Prices on the app actually go down as tip-off draws closer. And their last-minute deals can save you up to 60%. It's not just NBA playoffs that you can save on, although that's cool. You could also do it for a lot of different things. If you wanted to go to a Metallica concert, if you wanted to go to a comedy show, if you wanted to go see a theater, if you wanted to go do anything that is related to an event, if it's on FanDuel, last-minute ticket prices will help you out, up to 60% off, and they have all-in pricing. What you see at the beginning is what you get at checkout. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Are you ready for some comments? These are all over the place. Some are nice. Some are just down the middle. Some are rather blunt. Some are, shall we say, difficult to explain. But bottom line, there's just a whole bunch of comments. Now, again, just to put it in perspective, what is this about? This is about the comments from yesterday's show, and it's called Fail, Florida State's Massive Recruiting Whiff. They lost Cameron Brooks, and this is a kid that lives at most 40 minutes from Doak Campbell Stadium. I joked that he could bang his head off the goalpost just by pointing himself south from Thomasville, Georgia, and driving the car right into it blindfolded. I mean, that's obviously a little over the top, but you get the point. You can't lose kids like that, especially at a Cal. Really? Cal? So there are a lot of different comments, but I'm just going to read off some of them. You can take these however you want, but the Locked On Seminoles YouTube page is a lot of fun. One comment from Jay Talley says, Norvell's last year, 100%. I don't know about 100%. That buyout is pretty nasty. We'll see if that happens, but there's a whole bunch of comments under that too. We'll see how accurate that is. Oh, we've got an easy schedule too. He better go 8 or 9 wins or he needs to go. That is from Jay Smith. You know what? The schedule, you lose Notre Dame, still play Miami, still play Florida, of course, but it's not as horrible as what it could be, especially losing Notre Dame off the schedule. Yeah, it's easier. I get it. So the question becomes, what's next? Like, what does Florida State have to do to kind of take that step? I don't know where I want to rank Florida State's schedule per se, but that is an interesting topic within itself. Let's see. This one is from Randy Harris. Prior, they were undefeated the year before. Norvell came into shambles. People got to stop acting like it's 2010. They have to get back up before you see top 10 classes. There's truth in that, but I mean, 2-10, Randy, that's rough, brother. What's getting back up? That's the other thing. I need a number. Like, you can't win. Like, back-to-back years combined total, if you win like 8-9 games, that's just not good enough. It's not even close. You want to be at 10 wins in a season, not less than 10-2. So, yeah, I'm not so sure about that. From John Shields, wish the Noles could recruit and get competitive again because it's not fun for my Canes to beat y'all non-competitive teams. This is an example. If you guys want to go troll somebody that's trolling, remind him that Syracuse was down 21-0, a team that you should all beat and got in the playoff, but Miami still has yet to win an ACC title. So that's for John Shields, whoever that idiot is. Let's see here. We get plenty of Miami fans on here. This is for Jazz Unlimited. Money is the biggest issue. Until Florida State gets the same money as everyone else, they don't stand a chance. We need a salary cap in college football. Is anyone really thinking Texas Tech is a blue blood, or do they have better recruiters? It's the old money buying that team. Number one, there's never going to be a salary cap because there's independent NIL companies that are separate from the university. So that's never happening. Secondarily, you're right about Tech, but oil money speaks. This is a new market. Florida State either adjusts or Florida State doesn't keep up with the Joneses. Let's see. This is hilarious. James Clanigan, just offer all the Central line to upgrade our podunk program and pay them all of Norvell's salary. That's hilarious. Central meaning Thomas County Central, where Cameron Brooks went to school. Oh, wait, that's funny. I don't know about paying him Norvell's salary. That's probably not realistic, but still. This one's interesting too. Brian Wilkinson states, I think Mike is the problem. Our recruiting hasn't really changed since he has been there. Besides, a staff shakeup this past offseason, in my opinion, it's Mike's approach to recruiting that is holding them back. He encourages kids to take visits and enjoy the process rather than pressuring them into committing to Florida State. That might win you Nice Guy of the Year, but it's not getting you a top 10 or even top 15 class in the recruiting rankings. Kids talk about Mike's approach all the time, and most appreciate it, but I guarantee you Kirby and Mario ain't telling kids to take all their visits and enjoy the entirety of their class before swinging back. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, he's right. Do you need to pressure him more? Maybe. You got to be careful about that. That's a fine line, but that's an interesting topic. There's something to that you have to look at. And it is very subjective. Sometimes kids get pressured and that just drop you too. So that's an interesting topic altogether. Let's see here. Oh, wow, this is good. FJB 3544. We are kidding ourselves if we honestly believe we are going to recruit at an elite level with Mike Norvell. Why don't you tell us how you feel, FJB? Let's see. Lost the 60s. Let's see. Don't worry about not getting a player out of high school. With the portal, he'll be available if he's any good. Not necessarily, but there could be some truth to that. I mean, possibly. Let's see. There's another one that says, this is from Brett Henshaw. Brooks will be in the portal. Based on what? Let's see. There's another guy, Bishop. He wasn't going to play in year one. Let him go to Cal first and then transfer back like the rest of them do. This across the board commentary, the rest of them, that's not realistic. Some people transfer, some people don't. Be realistic here. Don't understand why our fan base still thinks we are a blue blood marquee program. We haven't been in a long time. This isn't the Bobby Bowden and Jimbo Fisher golden years anymore. Times have drastically changed. In an era where college football is driven by money, hype, and forever need of instantaneous results, we are an average program at best, especially with the Mike Norvell at the helm. The faster we realize that, the faster we can stop disappointing ourselves when we don't land high-end recruits. Anyway, go Noles. That is from, what is this? Fiben meme? I mean, it's an interesting post, but I mean, that's defeatist if there ever was one. Sadly, this is from Richard Brookins. Sadly, I'm starting to think that Mike is not the guy. Are you just starting that? They won 2 games last year. I think I'm a little bit past starting. It's pretty rough. Let's see here. Oh, let's see. This one's good too. Let's get it then. Says, should have hired Dion Would have got Hunter and so many more 5 stars that year. Sick of this below average crap. Okay, fair enough. One more here, then I'll finish off the show. You don't get it. These kids have no loyalty. They're chasing money now. College football will be complete garbage if they don't put restrictions on NIL. Trust me, they don't stay in Berkeley long. Well, I don't know if anybody really wants to stay at Berkeley that's from South Georgia. That's, to me, not the greatest fit, but that's Cam Brooks' decision. We'll see if he signs there. But that's the way it goes. Thank you once again for making Locked On Seminoles your first listen each and every day. I truly appreciate you stopping in to talk all things Noles. We will see you again tomorrow. Please like and subscribe and give us a 5-star review on Apple. Take care.